Hi, today I want to make something from scratch on the Digitone. So there's no further preamble needed, let's get right to it. I've got this default sound right here, and I'm going to start by just punching in some notes into the sequencer. So now that I've got this little rhythm going, I'm going to adjust the sound a little bit. I'm going to increase these FM levels a little bit so the ratio controls here start doing something. I'm adjusting the FM envelopes a bit. I like this kind of knocking sound, but it's a bit harsh. Maybe filter this a bit. Gonna see what the effects do. Maybe a little bit of drive. Cool. Next I'm gonna add some percussion. I'm using track 4 for this because that's where I usually have my drums and percussion to keep things neat and orderly. So I'm just gonna enter all 16th notes here, and then I'm gonna go for a noisy kind of hi-hat sound. For this, I'm just setting these ratios to something a little more inharmonic, and then maybe some feedback, crank up the levels, and we should get a more noisy sound. Maybe make the amp short. Something like this, maybe. And maybe add some randomization with an LFO. So increasing this a bit, I'm going to set this to sample and hold, and the mode I'm going to set to hold. So I like this C ratio. Maybe the filter I'm gonna set to a high pass filter. Going back to the mix one more time. On the X signal path is where the randomization is happening. On the Y, it's just a steady hi-hat kind of sound. I'm going to set this somewhere in the middle. And then maybe add some LFO modulation to a amp envelope parameter, like for example, the attack time. I'm going to see what this sounds like without the high pass filter, because this way I can still filter it, which is kind of nice. I could, for example, automate the filter envelope. So by adding some automation here to the offbeats, I can make it so this sound's always going to be bright on the offbeat, no matter what the filter cutoff is set to. Now if I increase this for all of the 16th notes, they're all going to be equally bright. If I go above the value I automated the offbeats to here, of course, the offbeats are going to be less bright. If I want to have them all with the filter all open, I can set this to about where I have the automation set to, and then just increase the cutoff value. Cool, so I think I'm going to move on to a next track, and here maybe add some chords. So I'm gonna go maybe with this one. I'm pressing yes to confirm this, and then I'm going into the trick menu and make this 16 steps long. So it's gonna be a sustained chord. I'm going to make this sequence longer, maybe 4 bars long, so I can have a bunch of different chords. For this, I'm going to hold function, press page, and then again, I'm going to hold function and press yes to make this per track. So now first I'm setting the master length to 64, because otherwise the pattern will reset after 16 steps, which is not what I want. And then I'm going to press this button a couple of times. So the length of this sequence for track 1 is 64 steps. It has copied the chord from bar 1 to bar 2, but I want to change this, and maybe I'm going to go with another suspended chord here. This guy, and then here, maybe this guy. And for the last bar, maybe this one, or this one. Third chord sounds bad in my opinion, so I'm gonna switch this up to maybe this guy. To blend this guy. Well, I'll leave it like this for now. Maybe I'll switch it up later. I'm going to see what the arpeggiator does here, so I'm just going to turn it on. Change the last chord, maybe to a B flat. I'm going to increase the range to a couple of octaves. I like this. I'm going to add some delay to this. maybe some reverb too. I'll make the reverb longer. Turning on the ping pong for the delay and increasing the width a bit. Now the bass is a bit aggressive for my taste. I think this was on track 3, so... Nice. Now I'm gonna go to the ARP sound LFO menu. And I'm gonna see if I can make this more interesting. This sounds kind of cool. It's almost like a pulse width modulation sound. I'm gonna try out some different algorithms for this one. Detune. Maybe I can use an LFO to make it fade in and out like I did just now manually by modulating the attack time of the filter envelope. So for this I'm going to the filter attack time, yes, and then it's kind of cool because now every other note kind of drops out, but maybe adjusting the speed will make this even more interesting. Going into the ARP menu, and I'm gonna try offsetting maybe 1 or 2 notes by a fifth or an octave. This is the one. 12. So for the last track that's left here, I'm thinking maybe some kind of slow melody, maybe sustained or plucked. I'm just gonna see where things will take me. So I'm gonna filter this a bit and bring up those levels. And I'm thinking here, I'm gonna offset this a bit. For a bit of movement in the sound. Maybe slow attack here as well. And right from the start, I'm going to add reverb and delay to this. Maybe without the drive. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to make this 8 bars long. For this, I will have to first increase the length of this to 64 steps as well, and then scale it to, oh, I was wrong, to half. So now I get 64 steps, but each one is an 8th note and not a 16th note. So I'm gonna start with this C, and then I'm gonna punch this in real quick. Now there's one last thing left to do. I have to increase the master length to 128. Now I'm thinking I'm just gonna see what the arpeggiator does here. Maybe I can use the offset as well here. Make these guys jump back and forth between a fifth. For this I would have to shorter attack. The fifth doesn't work, so I'm gonna try an octave. Gonna set this sound to mono. For this I'm going into this setup menu, and where it says play mode I'll choose mono, and now I'm gonna turn on the portamento, and I'm gonna have a listen to what that sounds like. I'm thinking this could be something where I turn on the arpeggiator and turn it off, because it works both ways. The most obvious thing that's missing here is a kick. So I'm gonna add one using the sound lock feature, I think it is called. This way I can automate a preset to a step, so to speak. So for this I'm holding this step and I'm turning this sound browser knob, and then I get to the sound pool where I can pick which sound I would like to lock to this step, but it's empty right now. So what I have to do here is go into the sound manager, and then I will filter this so only the kick sounds show up. And I'm gonna pick this thug kick here. And I'm pressing this right arrow button, and I'm selecting copy to sound pool. So now it's in the sound pool. And if I go back to the sequencer here and hold this step and turn this sound browser knob, it shows up here, thug kick, so I can pick this, and I'm gonna do the same thing for maybe these 4 steps. Maybe the last one also. I'm gonna give this guy a probability of just around half. And then maybe I'm gonna add some delay to this percussion sound so it doesn't completely drop out whenever there is a kick sound. I'm going back to this track 2, and I'm gonna turn the arpeggiator back on because I liked how it sounded with the portamento. Now here, I haven't used the LFOs at all, so I'm gonna do that Maybe on the filter sustain. Let's just see what happens with the sample and hold. Kind of cool. I like how this sounds. So before I'm going to try and perform a little bit with this, one last thing I want to do is adjust the bass. So there's also 4 chords, a little chord progression. So for this, I will have to go into this page menu and then also set this to 64. Now if I go back into the sequencer, this has copied this rhythm pattern to all 4 pages, but with the same note. So I will have to change the notes. I'm going to set the second one to a B flat. I press yes to confirm, and then I'm going to copy this and paste it here, here, and here. And maybe the last 2 back to an F. Nice. So before I start performing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial down the volume of track 4 all the way. And now because the kicks are sound locked to the steps, they're still going to sound because this is not affecting their volume. So I only get a kick. And by increasing the volume again, I can bring in the hi-hatty percussion. Also, I'm going to lower the filter cutoff, so only have the offs once I bring in the kick. And then maybe I'm going to start with the drum and bass, and in the beginning maybe start with just 1 bass note. So I'll set this back to 16, and if I make it longer again, I'm going to have the full chord progression. So I think I am all ready to go now. I hope you found this interesting. Thanks a lot for watching.